What's going on, everyone? We've had a lot of really interesting new anime announcements lately, or at least it feels like it. And today we're going to be talking about another one that just got announced yesterday, which is a new Rose of Versailles movie. Which, if you've never heard of the Rose of Versailles, I don't blame you. It is from the 70s. It's an old shoujo manga from like the early 70s that got an anime adaptation in 1979. And it's very good. I watched it a couple years ago and it holds up. It's very interesting, especially the last like third of the show when like the dread sort of sets in. It's about the lead up and beginning of the French Revolution, just with some additional characters added that are not historical, and some historical characters are like given different aspects that are not historical, or connections are made between historical characters that did not actually happen. So like it's not entirely factual, but it's still interesting. And when they really get into like the French Revolution getting started, it is very, very, very interesting to watch. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, more than I was expecting to. And the interesting thing about this, beyond just, hey, it's something from the 70s, is there was an attempt to do a movie of this in, I believe, 2007. And I don't know if this upcoming movie, which we know basically nothing about other than, hey, there's going to be a movie and we have a visual of Oscar and Marie Antoinette. That's it. Like, we don't know anything else. But there was supposed to be a movie adaptation which had a trailer back in 2007, which was done by Toei. Now, this is just one of those things where a trailer came out, a visual came out, and just nothing ever happened with it. And there have been anime projects like this that like get announced and like, oh, it's going to come out eventually, and then it just never does, or it has an extremely delayed release. I'm very curious if this is that long-awaited Toei movie or not. Is this something different? You know, we don't know what studio is doing this. It could be Toei, it could be something else. I've seen people say it might be Mappa, because I guess there were rumors that Mappa might be doing a popular shoujo adaptation, so maybe. I have no idea, and we don't know. We literally know nothing about this other than it's going to be a movie. We don't know if this is just going to be one movie and that's it. We don't know if this is going to be multiple movies and a complete, like, readaptation. Or, like, for all we know, this could be a movie set in the existing show. It could be something that takes place during its events. I don't think it would be a sequel for reasons that, you know, if you've seen The Rose of Versailles, you know why it wouldn't really make sense for there to be a sequel. But it could be something that takes place during the events of the show. It might not be a reboot or a readaptation, or it could be. And if it's going to be one movie, that actually is pretty interesting, because even though I like The Rose of Versailles, I definitely recognize that there are sizable chunks of its 40 episodes from, you know, the original adaptation in the 70s that probably could and should have been cut out, even if they are like accurate to the manga. So I think it might benefit from like a more condensed story. Granted, I don't really think one movie would be enough. Like, if you did a few movies and really trimmed things down, maybe it could really tighten the pacing and like the first half of the show up. Or this could be not so much just like a reboot that maybe cuts some things out. It could actually play with things and change things up a bit, which would also be very interesting. And I feel like I don't know what the advantage of doing a full-on reboot would be if you're not gonna like play with things a bit, right? Like, okay, you can update the animation. It is, you know, over 40-year-old animation, sure. But like, do more with it. Either trim some stuff out and really fix up the pacing. Like, even though there isn't really filler, like, it'd be nice to cut out some of the less enjoyable parts of the story. Or, you know, change things. Maybe add in some characters, take out some characters, you know, maybe like make some of the characters who are portrayed in an unhistorical way maybe a little bit more historical, at least like with some of the side characters. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing some ideas out there. But I think it would be very, very interesting to see them change things up, or at the very least really slim things down. Which, I mean, if this is one movie, they have to slim things down, and they might even slim things down too much. If this ends up being like multiple movies, they're still inevitably going to have to trim things, but they might not have to trim nearly as much. Either way, like, I'm very curious to see what this ends up being. Like, is this the long-awaited Toei movie adaptation that had a trailer and looked pretty interesting, but just never happened for whatever reason, and maybe we'll never know what that reason was? Or is this completely separate? This is supposed to be like honoring the 50th anniversary of the manga, which was 1972 when that came out. So maybe this is just something completely different. It might be a completely different studio. Maybe it's MAPPA. Maybe this will be one part of a multiple trilogy, or maybe even more than a trilogy, or maybe it will be in the continuity of the original show and not be a reboot. Like, there's so many possible things this could be that I'm really excited to eventually learn more. We don't know when this is going to come out. We don't know when we might learn more about this, but I'm very interested to learn more. And I do implore anyone listening to this, if you've never watched The Rose of Versailles, I understand, shoujo doesn't appeal to everyone. Like, I've had my issues with a number of very generic shoujo type of anime. And this is an older show. Like, it's 43 years old. So, like, I get it. The animation is dated, and it does have some slow parts, especially in the beginning, but I do think it is worth your time. And yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting for someone who's never seen it before to watch the original show in the lead up to this. So that would be my recommendation. Try to watch the original show and see what this ends up being, because we don't know if it's going to be a reboot. Even if it is a reboot, we don't know if it's going to be, too much stuff trimmed out to really tell the story effectively, or what. So interested to see what will happen, and I am looking forward to learning more about this. That's it for me. A bit of a short video, but again, we don't know too much about it. A lot of this is just some speculation on what this could be. That's it for me. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.